Oh yeah, we do have a game. Hold on.
So again, you guys, Sultan Khan, he was probably the greatest chess player in all of Asia. He was discovered by, I think, a British general or a major, who then invited him to come back to Britain, where he lived for, I think, maybe 20 years. Maybe it was less than that, but he was in Britain, and he competed in the British Championships. And then I think in the late 30s, he went back to India and was never heard from again. So yeah.
That's what chess does, man. That's what chess does. I invited you, by the way, in live chess.
Yeah, I see it now. Okay.
Also,
yeah,
wasn't he like illiterate? Like he couldn't read or something,
this is
right?
true. Also, yeah, he couldn't read. Yeah, he was literally discovered and he knew how to play the game, but he, yeah, I don't think he could read or read and write. I don't think he could. I think he did very good for the prime. Wait, Levy, why are you laughing at that?
No, I was like just saying it's so crazy that he achieved so many like great things. I wasn't laughing at him being illiterate. I was like chuckling at the fact that with that handicap, he still was the best player in the world. Like that's crazy. What? How did he learn the game? Like how is that even possible?
Well, doesn't that in a way dispels the myth that you have to be smart to play chess, doesn't it?
Oh, we knew that already. But like,
well, I don't know if chat knew that, but
I remind them all, all the time. You don't need to be smart. There's plenty of
plenty of 102 IQ Papagas. What'd you get on that test, by the way, Levy?
What, the IQ test?
Yeah.
I never retook it, so I did not know that there was a time limit because I took the test, but my lamp was blocking the top left of the corner. So I didn't
basically
know that...
you're making excuses for your poor score, whereas like I had the same excuse, but I'm not making excuses. I accept it.
Oh no, I literally, there's a clip. It's like one of my top view clips. Somebody tells me you have 1 minute left to do 10 questions, and I was like, what?
Yeah, well, I had the same issue, but you don't see me making excuses for my score.
Oh, what was
I
your
didn't
score?
realize it was timed. I got 102.
I think that's what I got. I think I got 102 as well.
Wait, are you serious?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway, speaking of the Emir Sultan Khan, he did beat Jose Araújo de Capablanca, who at the time was the world champion, strongest player in the world. So we do have a game that they played that we're gonna show.
Yep.
And this I think is noticeable because Khan played this move pawn to a3, and I don't think this was a known variation at the time, this idea of playing this Queen's Indian with pawn to a3. Later on, it became a very prominent variation. It was played by another player on this list, the future world champion from Armenia, Tigran Petrosian. That's why the system is called the Petrosian variation of the Queen's Indian defense. But Khan played this a3 move approximately, this game was, when was this game? 29, right?
Yeah, like I think 1930.
Okay, so if this game is played in 1930, Tigran Petrosian, who the system is named after, he started playing it nearly, I think he played it in the 60s if I'm not mistaken, so or 50s, 60s. So basically, this variation was played 20 years early, and due to biases and political correctness, it was not named after Khan like it should have been. But he played this 20 years before a future world champion, someone who's very strong, would eventually play it a lot and get it named after them.
All right.
Also, I would say a personal favorite of Garry Kasparov as well. Gary really loved playing this Petrosian variation of the Queen's Indian defense. Fun little story here. But normally the way this line goes is this Queen C2 line, black and like trade and play Bishop E7 and some C5. And one thing I will say about Gary is I remember he always loved the setup when I was working with him. He was all about how white gets the big center, white gets these pawns on E4 and D4, so white must be winning. Of course, white is not winning. It's a very serious variation, but Kasparov always felt that with the pawns on E4 and D4, it's very, very strong. Anyway, all right, so Khan played this nearly like 25 years before Petrosian played it, so he was the original inventor, I would say, of the system. So ED5, Bishop G5, Bishop E7, E3, very solid moves, by the way, just standard development, brings out the bishops. Nowadays, by the way, as I pointed out, you guys, Knight D5 is considered the correct move because of what Khan played in this game. So, so even the great Jose Raúl de Capablanca made mistakes in the opening phase of the game. So Knight E4, Bishop F4, Knight D7, Queen C2, F5, Knight B5. Very strong move, by the way. And this actually, when I look at this game, this puts a damper on my thoughts of Capablanca, I'm not going to lie. So this is like a basic tactic that you wouldn't fall for, Levy.
Well,
I mean, you just lose material. I mean, maybe you don't lose material, but it's very bad.
It is very bad. I was gonna say this looks like my games when I was like much younger. I would always put the knight in the center and then like defend it with an F pawn, and then I would just like try to attack the king if possible, or play G5 or yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so knight b5, bishop d6. Of course, if black plays pawn to c6, then knight c7 wins material. Rook moves, you have knight e6, forking the queen and the rook, and you win one of the two pieces.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to ban somebody. They just wrote something ridiculous. They said I'm being a jerk to you today. I'm sorry. They're getting banned. Goodbye, dude. Goodbye.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have enough room for both chats today, so I have them on different tabs. Oh, he also misspelled my name. Yeah, you could ban. I mean, it's not even for the comment. He said my name is Levi, and that's bad enough.
Anyway, all right. So we keep going. So h4, rook c8, queen b3, knight d2. Very standard stuff, by the way. White is just a little bit better here with the bishop on e2 and f4. White can just push the pawns up to like g4, g5. And sure enough, Khan does it, by the way. He plays g4 here, g5, removes the defender of the pawn on d5. And black just has a very sad-looking bishop on the light squares. No axis. It's just stuck behind this pawn wall and this rook on c6. So knight e8 it's played. Bishop to g4. How can a 3-month sub get banned? A 3 months, if you say something ridiculous, you can get banned. Sorry. Rook c1, king d2, rook c2, takes king c2, and basically at this point, white is just winning with the two bishops and the two rooks here that can come to the open c file.
Nice game.
Yeah, but to be clear, chat, I banned him. I half the time I do bans as well. It's not always the other mods. I mod. So yes, Griffin got banned by me. Make no mistake about it. All right. So king d2, queen c4, bishop e2. By the way, very nice move, right? Hits the queen on c4.
Well, if you don't play that, don't you lose?
I mean, maybe you can go rook c1, but yeah, it's probably pretty bad objectively. So rook a b1, king f7, rook c1. Again, very good moves here by Sultan Khan. You control the pawn, you use the two rooks on the open file, and after king e7, rook c3, queen a4, b4. Very good move, just building this nice little open file for the rooks, and the rook on c3 controls everything. And after rook c1, I don't really feel it's necessary to go through the rest of the game, but very solid play from Sultan Khan. He would go on to win this game nearly 20 moves later. So yeah,
total domination. Yeah, he made Capablanca look the way Capablanca made his opponents look. So
yeah, but definitely a great player from India. He won the British Championship. I don't know where he ranks all time. I might try to take a look at that. Let me see. Let me see if they actually list him somewhere. Okay, they do list him. They say best world ranking was number 6 on the May 1933 rating list. So he's always ranked around 2700 from what I can see. So yeah, very sort of, he's the only chess player I think we can say that had a very sort of exotic background, like very unusual sort of way of getting into the game and then being discovered even. So just, he's a legend for sure. Is he above legend, I guess, is the real question. So yeah, so so those of you who are wondering, the game that we're showing is this game played between Paul Morphy and some nobles, the Duke Carl and Count Isouard. I think they were French nobles, if I'm not mistaken. I hope they were. But anyway, this game was played at the Opera House. I think this was what was the play? Do you remember, Levy? Was it Norma? I thought it was Norma. Am I wrong on that?
What is that? Oh, you mean the opera that they were?
I think it was Norma, but I could be wrong on that. It was Norma. Oh man, I'm on a roll.
There you go.
It was Norma. Okay, yeah, it was Norma. I've actually seen Norma, so yes. Anyway, so yeah, so this was played at the Opera House in I believe it was it Paris? I think it was Paris, right? Yeah, it was played at the Opera House in Paris during Norma. They played it in their private box while the play was going on, so clearly they weren't enjoying the play. But yeah.
Does say a lot about the play for sure. I mean, if you're playing chess in the middle of a performance, that yeah. Those of you who are being a little bit silly about the gods of chess, I didn't rank myself. Levy made the ranking, so get mad at Levy, not at me. Correct. I'll take all the heat.
Okay, so e45, knight 3, d6. Again, this, by the way, is the Philidor opening. We'll be talking about, what was it, Marc-Andre Daniken's Philidor. We'll be talking about him later on. He's also in this list. So we'll talk about him later on. But for now, this was the Philidor opening, bishop g4. And since this game has some comments in it, since I think we just took it directly from somewhere, it says bishop g4. This is a weak move already, Fisher. I like the wording.
Yeah, Fisher 100 games later analyzes this game and is like,
yeah,
man, they garbage, bro. Yeah,
this is a weak move already. I like it. So d5, bishop f3, queen f3. D takes e5, bishop c4, of course, very strong move, creating the moist critical checkmate special on f7. And here knight f6 is played. Now queen b3, another fantastic move, creates another double threat towards the pawn on f7 and towards the pawn on b7. Of course, it's your classic Pythagoras right triangle.
Yeah, and here is to me the most interesting moment of the game.
Right, queen e7, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take on b7. It's hard to tell my beginner students why this move doesn't happen. And knight c3 happens instead. Basically, I try to explain that he didn't go here because he wanted to avoid the trade of queens. Or, I don't know, he saw something in the play and he forgot that he was attacking the pawn.
Right, so he played knight c3, which is also okay. c6, bishop g5. Now, the reasoning behind this, again, I think, is you go back to the times. And those times, a pawn didn't matter. It was all about development. It was all about attacking as quickly as possible. So b5, and now knight takes b5. Fantastic move.
Yep, cb5, bishop b5, and it's already completely lost for black.
Right, after 97 castles. Like, the thing that I would say as well, for those of you who are wondering, is that this is very similar to the Anderson game that we showed earlier, where, again, it's all about the piece activity and sacrificing material to attack right away towards the opponent's king.
Yep.
So rook d8, rook d7, rook d1 again. Look at this position. Very similar to the other one. Black is currently up one whole rook. But the bishops create these really annoying pins, and you're going to lose the rook, and even more because your king, bishop, and rook are on their original 3 squares and undeveloped. Queen e6, bishop d7, knight d7, queen b8 again. Fantastic queen sacrifice by Paul Morphy. Knight b8, rook d8, leading to checkmate. White only has a bishop and a rook. Black has a queen, a bishop, a rook, and a knight. But again, much like the theme from the previous game, 1, 2, 3 pieces, 4 pieces on their original squares and undeveloped, and white can checkmate with just the bishop and the rook.
Yeah, one of Morphy's, I don't know, best games given the circumstances, but kind of a demonstration of his entire, you know, of his entire kind of repertoire.
So this guy was a Russian player, very, I don't know if you can say he was considered amongst the best, but very aggressive player, very much in the style of Mikhail Tal.
Yeah, okay. I don't know a huge amount about his career other than the fact that like he beat he beat the world champions because he played like very aggressively.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he was from where? He's from Tatarstan, right? Which is now Kazakhstan, I believe. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. So the Tatar region, I think, is just part of Russia now. I think my mom's side of the family was originally from Tatar, and then they lived in Kazan.
Okay.
Was,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're not actually Russian. You're from Kazakhstan.
No. Kazakhstan is totally different than Kazan. Just Kazan.
Kazan is the capital, isn't it?
No, I don't.
No, I'm wrong. Oh no, that's Astana. Sorry, that's Astana. I'm wrong. Sorry. Okay, that's Astana. I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
You say things so confidently that sometimes I'm like, wait, hold on, I gotta.
Yeah.
No wonder you're good at Among Us, because you like. You'd scare me if we played Among Us. You'd be like, "Oh, I went to the reactor. Where were you?" And I'd be like, "Wait, am I the imposter? I don't even."
Okay. All right. All right. Well, yeah, I'll be getting back to that later, of course. Okay. So yeah. All right. Okay. So d4, knight f6, c4, d6, right? Or sorry, let me go forward. I don't think I've seen this game. This is his most famous game against Lev Polugaevsky, another very prominent Russian grandmaster, one of the greatest players during his day as well. So e4, they trade. Pretty standard stuff. Plays the King's Indian here with bishop g7, bishop b2, castles bishop b3, knight g4. Kind of an aggressive move. I think if white tries to go like knight e2, there's queen h4 to play for quick attacks towards the pawns on f2 and h2. If white castles, there's maybe like queen f6 or bishop h6. All kinds of really dangerous threats towards the white king and the white queen.
Yeah.
So he goes knight e2, queen h4, knight g3, and now knight g to e5, castles and pawn to f5.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. This is a very fun game to look at.
So f3, bishop h6, queen d1, f4. Now basically black just tries to play a fool on kingside attack. Now I suspect that objectively this is not probably considered great, but it worked out in the game. Of course, it's one of his most famous queen sacrifices. He is very well known for sacrificing queens too. So knight d5, g4, g3, takes, queen h3, f4. Now he plays a really nice move, bishop to e6. And the reason he does this is because if white takes the knight on e5, black can take the knight here, and when you recapture, there's bishop e3, which leads to a forced checkmate for black. So now bishop c2, rook f7, king f2, queen h2. I'll just cut to the meat of the game. And so we reach this position after rook to h1 here. And it looks like black is in a lot of trouble. The knight is potentially under attack. The rook is attacking the queen and the bishop. So if you move the queen, you'll lose the bishop. And your king is kind of a little bit open. The white king looks very safe here. So now there's a fantastic move that is played by Nizamedinov, which is rook takes f4 check. And the reason this is so strong is because if white takes back with the knight, now you can just take the pawn and take the knight, and the king is getting checkmated here. If you take with the pawn, black can still play bishop takes, knight takes, and now I think maybe queen g3 works, but also knight c2, queen c2, queen c2, and black is just up. Black is just up by a lot of material. Check where? Check where? Someone says check. What's not check?
I think when you played rook takes f4, you said check.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I said rook takes f4 check. Sorry. Okay.
they're sniping the mistakes, you know.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yeah. And if white doesn't take, which is what occurs in the game, white plays rook takes h2.
Yeah, and now
rook f3 is check. King d4. There's bishop to g7. Another unbelievably good move, I believe, because if you go c5, let's try to work this out, Levy. It's not checkmate, is it? White plays and peasant. You go knight takes, king d5, and you don't actually have a way to checkmate the king here, do you?
No, I was thinking b takes c6. What is refuted? Is c5 mate?
Can't white play bishop to d3 maybe?
Yeah, you just sacrifice some pieces, right?
I don't know. This still might be a forced checkmate, but very hard to judge at any rate. And I kind of like what he did. He played bishop g7, which is a really nice move, because what happens is now there are all kinds of discoveries. White is currently up an extra queen for nothing. Just a whole extra queen, but the king is in the center of the board, and it's completely boxed here. And now a4 is played. He goes c5, takes with the pawn here. And the difference is here the bishop, dark square bishop, is on the board as opposed to it being off the board. Does bishop e3 lead to checkmate, Levy, or not? King c3. I don't think it does, because there's no, if you come back, the king starts running and escaping. If you don't, maybe you can protect, but it's very iffy. And when you're down a queen, it's very nice to play a quiet move like bishop g7. It's actually reminiscent of my game against Michael Krasenkow, where I was down a queen, but I played this like one quiet pawn move or bishop move, and you create these threats against the king. So a4, c5, bc, bishop d3, knight d3, king c4, now d5, and really nice forced checkmate here. Pawn takes, king b5, rook b8, king a5, knight c6, and it's forced checkmate because when the king comes to a6, you can move the knight to either c5 or b4, but you can also play rook to b6, and the knights cover all the critical squares here, and it's just GG's.
Yeah.
So where do you think he belongs?
I mean, I don't know, because I think that he was a little bit, he's kind of like an Ivanchuk, right? Like he was capable of defeating all these top guys.
Agreed.
But he was never the top guy. And is like his history is not even that well known.
He never, apparently my chat's saying he never had the title either. Is that true? Is that really true? Did he never have the title?
I'm looking.
Oh, he was also apparently a checkers player too, by the way, I see.
Yeah, he was a Russian checkers, not champion, but
he was never a GM. Why does FIDE not give out these titles the way they should? Like retroactively, that's 2 players on this list who should be GMs. Nesmith Dinov 100% and Sultan Khan. So all those people's at FIDE, you better like get on this in a hurry and retroactively put some titles for some of these guys.
I have the same title as him. That's kind of depressing on him, for his part. So
yeah.
Wow,
I mean, I think I'm gonna rearrange this. Like, I'm sorry, I have to take myself out. By the way, I have to put myself in legend. I'm sorry, because it looks too stupid to me. I'm gonna try to make this a fair list. I'm gonna put him in legend somewhere.
Okay.
I'll put him in legend.
Yeah, I think he's a legend of the game, but I don't think he's.
He's definitely a legend. I don't know. Like when I look at the overall, I can't put him undisputed #1. So yeah, so I'm just gonna arrange this like it. Okay, so next up is Nimzovich. What are your thoughts on Aaron Nimzovich?
Theorist.
Yeah, I don't even think, yeah, there's probably not much more needs to be said. Fantastic theorist. He wrote, of course, My System. Just, I mean, amazing theorist. I've read, what?
I was going to say, I think his books, wait, no. He has 2. I think My System is slightly better, but I think his books are some of the most overhyped books in chess for beginners. I actually think that for beginners, they're dangerous to read. I think beginners should focus on much more easily digestible content. So
okay. However, the Nimzo Indian is still one of the greatest openings in existence. But yeah, I think it certainly goes in theorist for sure. Okay, so next up we have let me make sure I don't get his name wrong because I don't want to offend all the Frenchies in chat. So we have Francois Andre Danikin Philidor. Probably the greatest chess player greatest French chess player of all time. What are your thoughts, Levy?
Did you say the greatest chess player of all time?
I said greatest French chess player. I caught myself. Yeah. He also wrote a great book. It was like the Analysis d'échec or something. Jeu d'échec.
That sounded like he might have been mildly throwing up, but no, yeah, I actually think that. Well, didn't you tell me that Philidor like didn't play? Like he like.
No, he did play, but I mean, he basically he wrote that book, L'analyse des jeux d'échecs. He also is probably, I think, considered the strongest player in the world during that time as well, if I'm not mistaken. And there are many things that are named after him. There's the Philidor defense, the opening. There's also the Philidor drawing method in the rook and pawn versus rook endgame. There is also the smothered checkmate, which was incorrectly credited to Philidor as well.
Yeah.
And there are other players that I would have loved to have ranked. For example, like, I don't think Ruben Fine should have been on this list. I think Samuel Reshevsky should have been there instead of him. Probably Frank Marshall also, in terms of American players, should have been on this list based on the time periods. I mean, I feel like there are enough modern guys on it. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good list with the exception of like 2 players. Yeah, maybe Aronian should be on it too. I was wondering about whether he should be here, but yeah, I think in general it's pretty good list. So can't complain.
I was just about was gonna ask that question. Who would you add? Who wouldn't be there? I mean, everybody can debate what they want, but we do our best. And if we disrespected one of your favorite players, we're very sorry, and we mean no harm, no foul.
Right. Agreed.